Hello everyone, we're here with Dr. Alan Lim, Director of Sports Science for Team Radio Shack. Alan, thanks for joining me today.
Sure, great to be here.
Yeah. Alan, why don't you give us an example of the typical day during the race for Team Radio Shack? Take us through the meals starting from, let's say, early morning till late at night.
We always started with a big bowl of oatmeal every morning. And that oatmeal, had a little bit of fruit in it, typically some bananas or apples. We made it with some brown sugar, molasses as well, a little bit of almond milk, typically steel-cut oats, and a big vat of it. The other thing that was really consistent in the morning for breakfast were eggs, either scrambled eggs, poached eggs, or fried eggs. And lastly, the last two things that we always had were, a thing of just simple white rice.
Right.
And a lot of the guys would use that, put a little butter on that, put a little salt on it, an omelet or an egg with that. And the final thing was the beet juice, and just fresh squeezed juice every morning to try to increase the nutrient density of what you guys were eating without creating a lot of bulk before the race. Jimmy was like, the first day that we brought him the beet juice, he was really excited.
Yeah, I remember that. He was like, oh, I love this stuff. He was chugging it down.
And one of the things we do actually for the race are make little rice cakes in addition to all of the other, bars and gels that you might eat.
Everyone loves the rice cakes.
All we do is we take jasmine or a Calrose rice. We make the rice in like a 1 to 1.5 water ratio. Typically in the morning for you guys, for the team, was like a kilo of rice that we would cook up. And we'd simply mix that in with about 10 scrambled eggs. A little chicken apple sausage seemed to be the kind of meat that guys would like. We put that in a little Cuisinart, mix that up, a little bit of rice wine vinegar, some Bragg's aminos, basically like a soy sauce. And that was about it. We'd mix it all up, throw it in a brownie pan.
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar,
right.
That's right. It gives it that kind of salty, sweet, savory taste. Yeah. We'd put it in a brownie pan and just cut them in little squares, wrap them in paper foil. And one thing I noticed is that not only would you guys eat that during the race, but sometimes on the transfer, if you guys needed a little simple snack, it was a very easy snack to eat before the race to keep your blood sugar stable.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Yeah, rice and eggs are one of the easiest things that you can do. In fact, before the time trial, you and Chris basically had a meal of rice and eggs before the time trial. After the race is really critical, and when we talk about refueling you guys for the next day, in my mind, the most important meal is really the meal that you guys have right after you finish the race and get on the bus. That meal also has to be super portable and super easy, and we gave you guys a lot of burritos, and the burritos we made were actually very, very simple. When we were making breakfast, we'd make another pot of rice, we'd boil a bunch of potatoes, and then we'd, take the eggs that we had scrambled up for breakfast, and usually throw in some bacon or maybe some sausage or any other kind of breakfast meat. So these were essentially breakfast burritos that you guys were eating. The other meal that we were making after the race was a simple fried rice, right? Basically a recipe that my mom taught me a long time ago. And it's just white rice, some chicken thighs, frozen peas and corn, a little bit of soy, cook it all up.
Pretty easy. And, at the race, cooking out of an RV, it's not like we've got a huge wok that we can fry this stuff in. So what we would do is we'd make all this stuff in parts. We'd cook the rice, we'd cook the eggs, we'd make the chicken, and then we took a big mixing bowl and we just actually threw it all in and just mixed it all up. So it wasn't really fried rice as much as it was mixed rice. Another thing that we did after every race that I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had all that watermelon out.
Yeah.
Right? And it had salt on it.
It had salt on it.
That tasted great.
Exactly. You get that really sweet, salty taste, and again, you're able to get some nutrient density in, you're able to get some fluid back in, you're able to get some salt back in, right? And after the race is a good time to think about more fruits and vegetables and more nutrient density. Before the race, we're thinking a lot of energy, not a lot of bulk. After the race, we're thinking, okay, we have to kind of create some balance here. Dinners were consistently the same too. We always had a pasta dish, always had a rice dish, but we actually went with a gluten-free pasta all week. It was a quinoa-based pasta. There was always some sort of kind of stewy meat dish, right? That you guys could either put on your pasta or put on your rice.
As a sauce, meat sauce.
Yeah. And we always started with the carbohydrate, the pasta, rice, and the meat sauce first. And after you guys were done with that, then we would serve the salad.
Make sure we got the energy in.
Yeah, make sure you get the energy first. Make sure that you satiate yourselves with the food that had the highest energy density, and then afterwards we would give you the salad, and then for dessert it was always berries, fruit, strawberries, pineapple, yogurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we were able to sit down as a team and eat really well thought out food that,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of care put into it, it brought the team closer together.
Yeah, it was interesting. I found you guys talking less about cycling when you guys were sitting at the dinner table
Yeah.
together. It was a totally different atmosphere. You know, it was really sitting down at the dinner table and communing with one another. And it was really interesting for me because at the race, you saw that happen in terms of how cohesively
Right.
you guys were working together.
The
It was
food brought us together like a family.
It was interesting because Garmin was the only other team at Detroit, California that brought their own chefs.
And that's the top 4 places on the overall classification.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you for joining
Sure.
us today. It's been interesting, and I hope that the folks at home have learned a lot.